Time for marriage tips for men. And tonight you're getting a twofer. I decided to do two of them because they're kind of related. Here's the first marriage tip for men. Rule number 1. Never do or say anything away from your wife that you would not do or say right in front of her face. I just put in front of her there. You talk about keep you out of trouble. Men, if you make it a practice to never do or say anything when your wife's not around that you wouldn't do or say right when she's right there, that'll keep you out of trouble. You could also say, Dad, never do or say anything that you wouldn't do or say right in front of your little girl, right in front of your son, your little toddler son. That'll save you a lot of heartache and keep you out of trouble. See, these rules are not complicated. These marriage tips are simple. Some of them, a good many of them do apply to the wife as well as the husband. So I think that's fair to say, ma'am, never do or say anything away from your husband that you would not do or say right there in front of your husband. It's pretty self-explanatory. The second tip, your two for one special tonight, is never speak ill of your spouse, ever. All right? Here's a recap. Never do or say anything away from your wife that you wouldn't do or say right in front of her. And never speak ill of your wife, ever. Listen, I have been in the presence of people who make jokes about their wife and call her the old lady or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he never called me that.
No, and I know some. Listen, some husbands and wives that I can see,
joke.
right,
Yeah.
or terms of endearment.
Yeah,
I get that. If
yeah.
there's I'll concede that.
I wouldn't take it that way. So
right.
Of course he's never said that.
Right. So I get it that there are some couples who the use of such terms to each other, my old man, my old lady, they use that lovingly as terms of endearment. I get that, and that's not what I'm talking about. But
sometimes it's used, another way.
Right. But to the old ball and chain, I mean, come on. Come on. So never, ever speak ill of your wife to another human being. If you got problems with your wife, talk to her and talk to God and let it stop there. I guess I could go on with more rules. Never let your kids see you arguing. I mean, it's good to let your kids know how to work things out, but and never speak ill of your spouse to your children. Certainly.
And I mean, our kids know that our life has been real. In your bedroom, in your drawer.
Tomas is naked just off the screen.
He's got a towel.
He just got out of the bathtub. Where's my clothes?
I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Our kids know.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have knockdown dragouts or anything like that in front of our kids. We really didn't have that many knockdown dragouts. But anyway, I mean, my kids knew that
we've never had a knockdown dragout, period.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, I mean, our kids would know that mostly it would be me, would get aggravated with her dad for whatever reason or whatever. Because I mean,
good reason.
I would be short or just the way I would answer him back, which was wrong on my part. I know, but I have the Persic face. Remember, I've got that too. But so I mean, I don't want y'all to think we made our kids think we lived in a fairy tale land where we never said a cross word to each other or anything like that. But we did keep our arguments or our disagreements not out in the open in front of them, like that, because it was between me and Tommy, and we didn't want them to, and we didn't have that many and don't have that many disagreements or arguments or whatever. But so we...
Well, and again, just to reaffirm something you said at the beginning of that little piece, is that it wasn't that we wanted to paint an unrealistic picture for our kids.
Unrealistic, that was the word.
No. We didn't do that. They knew that we had difficulties, but they knew that those difficulties were things that we were going to work through together out of their presence, because we didn't need to add the stress to them. Because I've heard, I don't have this in my rules because somebody else thought it up, and it's brilliant. The best gift that a man can give to his children is to love their mother. And kids need to grow up knowing that daddy loves mommy, and from a father's perspective. And there's no more important gift other than introducing them to Jesus Christ, of course. But in terms of the world, the most important gift a man can give his children is to love their mother. And so we wanted our kids to know that I loved her enough to not take any chance of degrading her in front of them. Certainly not by name calling and that kind of thing, but even just trying to win an argument. I don't know if I've talked about this rule, but one of my most important rules is it's better to have peace than to be right. I just got distracted because I was making sure Tomas was dressed, because apparently his towel was open.
Sorry,
a few moments
y'all.
ago.
Surprise, Papa.
Yay!
He's surprised.
Yay!
Yellow.
He's dressed.
He didn't know he did that.
Okay,
So
anyway.
Sorry about that.
Interesting. So anyway, that's your 2 for 1. Let me go back and recap finally just for the end of that. Rule number 1, never do or say anything away from your wife that you wouldn't do or say right in front of her. And the second rule number 1 is never speak ill of your spouse. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And that's that. So next week, I don't know if you'll get a twofer again, but we'll cover another marriage tip for me. All right, what we got?